Okay, get back here, find my announcements because that's where all my notes are. Okay, well, very first thing, would like to welcome everyone who has joined and all the OGs that have come back. It was quite surprising that we came back and immediately had nearly 22 people, discluding alts and everyone else. So that was really good to see. The reason why I started opening the AOS up again is that I saw a lot of people just talking in general about being in guilds that they didn't even speak to anyone. Being in guilds where everyone spoke a different language. So I saw an opportunity for the AOS to actually start growing in that space again. And so yeah, it's been really good to see and really impressive growth at this point. And yeah, welcome to those who are new, and welcome back to those who are back. In that one fell swoop, I went through multiple points. Guild versus community. So we're going to be changing the nature of the AOS in a couple of ways. One of the big ones that's probably going to be the most controversial is I'm going to be removing the no flag rule. For those who are new, previously the AOS did not flag at all. And as you can suspect, if you're like a mid-game to end-game player, that was a hard ask for a lot of players to do because it just cut a bunch of their content out when they were struggling to find content to begin with. So the conditions are as such. You are more than welcome to gank if you so wish. Please don't do it where there's anti-ganking happening, and do not do it in a way that directly starts shit with anti-gankers. In the AOS, there will be no issues between ganking and anti-gankers. We just see it as mechanics within the game. Also, another thing, if you are anti-ganking, you are not to feed information to our gankers in any way, shape, or form, because people are going to be trying to use that as a reason why the AOS isn't the virtuous white knight guild that we supposedly call ourselves, despite me saying over and over, we are not that. We are a grey organisation and always have been. So the reason the other thing was we are going to be now allowing more people into the Discord, not just into the guild. What this means is you can go do your solo thing, you can go be a part of whatever it is you do, and still have access to our Discord and our content and go do things like that. With this comes, of course, the risk that we may not know who is, in the parties. So just keep yourself cheap and cheerful until you end up finding groups which you trust. So my kind of theory and goal there is that we get a bunch of people together and they will naturally form their own little cliques based on the content they want to do, while still having the ability to actually break that clique apart, go find other places to go, or see what other cliques are doing, and then just bounce around and make that content. So that's kind of like my whole goal. If it sounds lazier, it's because it is. It's what we call laissez faire. I trust you guys as experienced players to know what you are, who you are, and what you're doing. And I just genuinely think we get the right people in, which is the no toxic rule. We get those people in, you will all just naturally start to form your own groups and communities and stuff. And I have no issue that if at some point you wanted to officiate that, I suppose is that a word, make it official, and wanted to become your own guild, I have absolutely no issues with that happening. And the AOS is now more of just a place where everyone meets. And this will make us far more resilient to the constant work it is just to rebuild or build up a guild, especially as people move on with their lives and play different games and other sorts of things like that. I think this is the most resistant structure to that. Now, does anyone in the voice chat have any comments or things they want to say about that, the no flagging rule or the community over guild?
I would like to say that the AOS will take everything by storm.
Thank you, Ranger.
Pun intended.
There
I saw what you did there. I like that. I like that.
Okay, good. It was appreciated because I was face slapping,
Yes.
charming.
So, All right, as far as like being an anti-ganker or whatever,
Hmm.
I've been sort of doing that before I joined the guild. That's what made me really want to join anyway.
Hmm.
But when you say there's other anti-ganking guilds, they got names. Anybody I should look up?
Um, the names I would give you would be about 5 to 6 months old. So and in Albion, that means the guild could be quite dead. So I'm not entirely sure. I've seen one Spanish group running around, which I call the King at Seven Aspects group, but all of them have high negative reps as well. So I think they're a content by any means. So there's two kind of real principles in anti-ganking. You've got the anti-gankers who are just pursuing content wherever they can find it, and inevitably, because ganking tends to be more lucrative, their reputation starts to slip into high negative. And then you have basically us, which used to have a no flagging rule in place, but that was killing us because that just simply did not have the content. So we will be doing that. However, someone else, just in English chat before, said to me, we could possibly set a minimum reputation that we expect you to be at. And I would say, just in general, don't go into negatives because then it just looks bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it's going to be interesting. And here's the thing, everything can change in a week because I do these meetings every week. I just test it out for the week, see how it fits, how it goes. And then, yeah, if it's not working out, because absolutely, it could be that I'm putting a solution that ends up effectively killing the guild with this, because a lot of people joined for the anti-ganking reason. Pure anti-ganking reason. It's just that being such a niche is in this particular community, especially in the server, is really starting to make it very difficult to keep the guild existing. This is why we've been staggering into hibernation over and over and over again. So yeah, anything else?
No, that's about it.
Okay,
I just
cool.
wanted to make sure.
However,
I only spend my time like
yeah,
protecting yellow zone gatherers and red zone gatherers when I can. Some people
perfect.
have a way higher IP spec than I do, so I can't do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. You're more than,
just
and
try to help them run away.
awesome. And what you can expect in the AOS is that you will never be bullied for being someone who actually takes care of yellow zone players or red zone players. That's kind of what I'm going for. Whereas if you're in a normal guild, there would always be that one little rat that constantly talks shit about it, which I won't tolerate. So yeah, cool.
Yeah.
State of the English community, guild versus community, short goals to global ambitions. So one of the things I've been learning about recently are what are called SMART goals, and these are small attainable goals that we can achieve. The current SMART goal of the AOS is I would like to get at least 15 people, sorry, probably 10 to 15 people to do Innismon. Now, if you bring up your world map, and go north of Limhurst, you'll see a tier 5 zone called Innismon. That is the Earth Mother. If you take her down, she has a chance of dropping something called the Sacred Jawbone. I think that's cool. This can be converted into a Rage Claw, which is an incredibly expensive mount. I don't know if it's as expensive as it once was, but it's still a lot of money. And we currently have in our voice chat someone who can saddle that mount. Ergo, we can sell it. If we take it down, the reward will be everyone gets a percentage of the sale, whatever that sale will be. So it's an even split, whoever turns up. And so that's just a great way for us to get into a little bit of money, but also the best way to push our PvE ambitions, is to start to target these big royal bosses. So we'll start with Innismon. Once we get confident with her, we will then start looking at the Demon Prince and the Undead Governor. The key difference being Innismon is a yellow zone, so we won't lose the gear, whereas the Demon Prince and the Undead Governor can be extremely, well, is a lethal zone first and foremost, but they can also be heavily contested. So yeah, that's that's the thing there. So these SMART goals, as we start to progress into it, and getting a team together, I'm going to be using our PvE team just to get everyone experienced and organized with working with each other, to then start to look about eventually getting to the size where we pick a black zone portal and we start raiding directly into the black zones. Because of course you can only go so far in the Royal Continent before you basically cap yourself. Now, some people have said to me, will I be considering bringing a hideout back into existence? I am very reluctant. I really don't like doing it because every time we've done it in the past, we've not been able to maintain critical mass to keep it going. And it ends up being a huge job for me to deal with. And also we lose sometimes over 100 million if it all goes boobies up. Earth, bad joke, won't do it. So yeah, eventually the goal will be that. So how I've always done content in the AOS is it really is based on active player accounts. So if you've got 3 to 4, you might go do some yellow zone statics or some safe content just so you're getting that fame ticking. Once we head into the 5, 6, or 7s, we might consider start sending out a red roam team, which basically runs around, starts taking the chests, and starts competing and contesting for chests in the red zones. At that point, if the group's getting quite large and the rewards are getting not so great, then we would start looking at moving into the black zone and doing some PvP out there. Now, eventually, our red roam teams aren't just PvP centric. People take tools and they go out there and they just go out, exist in the red zones, fill their inventories up, and just go drop it off and make some money doing that. It can be very lucrative, and with the new PvE changes coming in, I will probably be reintroducing group dungeons content in there as well. I might even start sniffing around the red statics just to see what the rat problem is. To explain that to any new players joining the guild now, the biggest problem with red zone statics is that you have what are called dungeon rats. These are players who run multiple invisors. They run, I think it's like minor boots or skinner boots that have the de-aggro stat on them. And basically their whole goal and objective is to knock you into those lethal mobs so that you get downed, so that they can appear next to you and kill you. So yeah, it can be for the most part a very bad idea. And I've heard that this has actually been starting to affect yellow zone statics as well. Except they just knock you down again and again and again and then convince you to kill yourself. So yeah, perhaps even worse than the red zone statics because there's a kind of torture aspect to it. So,
Very treacherous behavior.
oh yeah,
Very treacherous behavior.
absolutely. It's the feeling I have gotten is that as I suppose the community of Albion has begun to diminish, certain crypto bro behaviors have become hustle behaviors, have just become expected and the norm. And so I want to be the alternative to that, where, we actually do end up with, a guild that people still talk and have fun and get together and do random shit. And eventually I really want to do that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'll see how we go. Key position is we'll keep doing the meetings. All other content will hopefully self-populate. We haven't had much luck in the past, but I think we might actually have a chance now because I'm feeling a weakness in the problems I was having before with recruiting. And so yeah, we'll start to get on that. So, what are our global ambition? What is the vision of the AOS? What is the power and goal? And this, in a weird way, is new, but it's also very old. I genuinely believe that the AOS, if positioned successfully, could dominate and control every red zone in Albion. Why would we do this? Because it pisses a large amount of people off. Why do we want that to happen? People don't like having their zones taken away from them, and then they start fighting back. And we will end up in a gargantuan war for control over the red zones. This content will be huge, it'll be exciting, it'll be interesting, and then to rub salt in the wound, there will be a outpost of the AOS appearing at a random city portal. And everyone who's been fighting us in the red zones are going to be like, oh fuck, they're going to do it to the black zones. We will start moving from that point. My original goal is to go from one of the portals to either one of the rests and start to establish a road to that rest, which was one of the old goals of the CLS. Once that is done, because we are also a red zone police guild and a security guild, we're quite used to that kind of behavior. We will create an open pathway between the portal and those rests. Why? Because it pisses people off. They don't like it. So the goal of the AOS
Yeah,
is to,
they ruining the player base by like bullying the newer players.
yes,
They really are.
they,
And like I'm at Arthur's Rest as my
mm-hmm,
home,
mm-hmm,
so like yeah, we could definitely establish a pathway from Arthur's Rest to like some of the city portals because the city
absolutely,
portals are like super congested,
yeah.
super congested.
Well,
And you have
my,
if newer players know that they could go in and there's a guild that's kind of like looking out for them,
mm-hmm,
then they'll be more comfortable going gather or fame form or whatever.
absolutely,
Because a lot of
and
people are locked out of half of the game.
yeah,
They're locked out of half of the game because they're scared to go into the lethal zones,
yeah.
and that sucks.
And so, yeah, we the AOS probably are actually really good at getting people taught how to use at least the red zone. But now we're getting a lot better at teaching people how to do the black zones. The problem with the black zones is, as you said, they're basically locked down. They just put a bunch of people around, and there's constant fighting. So punching a hole and starting chaos in the Outlands has been 100% my personal goal in the AOS because the congestion in the black zone has always existed, and it's always in some form or another. And taking it to a group of people who are, as I said, like who are more hustlers, who are more just problematic players, I believe will help Albion in the long term as a whole. Because I understand the hard, you do absolutely have to teach people the hard lessons of lethal PvP, but when you're dumping them over and over again with teams of 9+, they're not learning anything from that. All they're learning is if you can't beat them, join them. And so the problem just self perpetuates. And so, yeah, the,
And the cycle continues.
the cycle continues. So, to tie all that together, because I've had coffee, so I feel like I'm rambling, um, we will establish and dominate the red zones. The only reason I give a shit about the red zones is because I know that it pisses the Black Zone guilds off in a big way, and they are going to do something about it, especially if someone tells even just one of their shot callers out there, oh, do you know Stormlord's running around with a tier 4, tier 5 blob in the red zones, and he's just killing everything? What do you think they're going to do? Oh, my guys are bored right now. We're going to go to Caerleon, and we're going to mess these guys up because I don't like Stormlord. He keeps messing with my ganking. So, yeah. So to bring it back to the short-term goals, um, small steps to get the team organized, for big ambitions eventually as it goes. Okay. So the last bit I'm going to do is a very quick where we're at or guild activity status. Gathering is pretty much on your own. We're not asking for any resources from anybody at all. Our AOS has always been a donation-based guild. PVE dungeon. There will be a dungeon after this, and at least a dungeon after every meeting. Um, from what I understand, there seems to be a lot of just organically started. Now, dungeons themselves are not very meta right now for getting silver or resources or fame or anything like that, but they are still a very good way of actually organizing people. So yeah, that's really good. Crafting, we are actually starting to get a few decent crafters into the guild. Of course, Ranger is a high tier mounts crafter. Um, and I'll try to keep track of who does what, and we might start getting that a little bit more official. So you'll know who to take your stuff to if you want it crafted. Um,
I
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask about that. Oh
hmm,
yeah, go ahead, my bad.
no, no, no. I was just gonna make another joke. I was gonna say I'm gonna take the mount crafting by storm.
Oh my, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is
Pun.
I'm only like,
Go.
let me see, I think tier 5 in ore,
Yep.
and I think I'm tier 5 in fishing. I'm
Hmm.
about to get to level 30 in fishing, which is master.
Hmm.
But in the ore, what I'm doing is for the guild in my personal chest, I'm saving all my enchanted nodes. Everything I get that's enchanted, I'm gonna just save it for the guild,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'll just sell the regular stuff. And I'm also tier 4 in wood and stone, which stone is worthless, but we need it for the guild. So I'm gonna keep everything that I get that's enchanted and just give it to you guys.
Yeah.
But I don't know which chest to put that in. I
So,
don't mess with the islands at all.
hmm,
I just hold it in my personal chest.
that's fine.
So just tell me which island I gotta bring it to, and I'll just
So
go
you
drop it off.
said, so where is it now currently?
I moved to Fort Sterling.
Okay, so Fort Sterling, if you go
I
to
was in Broad,
your,
but I started in.
yeah. So if you go to Fort Sterling CLS Island, you'll see in the main guild chest, you'll see donations. You can just throw it in there. Keep it on you for a while. It's fine. We're a long way from setting the hideout up, but or needing it for anything too critically at the moment. As you said, stone really doesn't have that much value at the moment. But if we do reach the point of punching into the black zone, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to have a few basic safe spots to to hold down. I might get maybe 1 to 2 hideouts to stage 2. I really don't want to do it, and we're not putting anything into it. They're literally just there as a safe spot until they get knocked down. It gets knocked down by a roaming demolition zone. And it's just basically as we can do it. As I can afford to basically replace that kit, we'll just throw it somewhere else until they get bored and they just leave us there. Um,
And
Go ahead.
another question, not to cut you off, my apologies.
No, sorry.
Another question is this, okay, so if the long-term goal for right now is conquering the red zones, is there a specific city we starting from?
Carry.
Because I don't really care about faction like that. I don't really care about faction like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Is there a specific point of, yeah,
The AOS always operates from Caerleon, um, just
okay,
because so, which is in right in the center, and that's kind of like our safe spot out there. Um,
all right.
yeah. As in regards to factions, which was actually a very good thing you brought up, and I should have brought it up in PVE. Um, I'm not going to enforce any single faction, just because the moment I've ever done that, there's been 3 to 4 people who've gone, but I don't want to do that faction. I'm nearly at this faction, or I'm at that faction, so all of that sort of stuff. However, the general point is you're actually in the right city. Sterling tends to be just our default setting, blue city, just because we have a lot of assets and resources in that area. I'm not going to enforce it on anyone else. You're not expected to join that set, but if you're ever lost as to what faction and what portal to lock yourself in, I think our best bet is to just make it Sterling at this time, because Caerleon doesn't have a portal for that kind of content.
I
However,
have to, okay.
yeah, no, that's all right. Here's the thing: I don't really see too much content this week or the next week, as we still keep growing. So yeah, it's just something that you if you're ever confused with as to what to do. Okay.
I would
No,
also
I'm
like to
just,
say that. Oh, go on.
oh no, you fine, you go ahead, you go ahead.
I was just saying that if you want to go like gathering for resources in the red zones, I can accompany you to certain places that I know.
Yeah, we as a guild are very familiar with the red zones, and there are definitely gaps in the gankers' awareness. So yeah, we do know a few spots. However, I'm not going to put it on a recording. um, so yeah, moving on to PvP is basically our domination expansion. So we've got farming; it's all being done by people individually. I do have mounts and pots and other things that tend to be quite donated in quite large amounts to the guild at the moment. If you are ever in need of anything or you ever run out of gear, please understand that the guild is financially in a very strong spot. Just recently, I received 2 huge donations out of guild. The first one was 120 million worth of skins from a former guild member from the CLS, and the second one was 800 million of skins and a transport mammoth given to me by Kulix. So financially, the guild is in a very, very strong place.
Please do not put that.
Say again.
Please do not put that in the meeting.
No, no. This, yeah, well, yeah. Ranger's been telling me off for like going on about how much stuff we've got. I think they will already figure it out. Like I've got too many supplier perms on chests and shit. They're gonna figure it out. On top of that, the fact that they've killed me over and over again, and I keep coming out in tier 8, 8-1, means that whatever they're doing has been failing.
Doesn't even gank. How does he have so much money?
Yeah.
I got the bread, bitch. It
Yeah.
takes money to go to war.
Yeah, I'm fucking sat in a yellow static for 2 months. What do you want from me? So yeah, so the final point, actually, to tie to what Ranger Boy is going to be saying, is that transparency is going to be absolutely critical because the guild mechanic in this game can be very easily turned into a scam. With another reason why I think we might be able to recruit quite healthily is there are a lot of scam guilds. There are a lot of guilds that just bring you in at 100% tax and just get you to work for them and get as much out of you as they can. So transparency is absolutely key as to anything. So if you do donate anything, let us know. I do like to shout people out for that.
I would also like that. Okay, first, do not easily trust any player that you do not know.
Correct.
In the red zone specifically.
And in the guild.
Second, begging is not allowed.
Say again, sorry.
Begging is not allowed.
Oh yeah.
We should find you begging in Carleon or any other city.
Yeah. So our guild doesn't beg. It doesn't look good for the guild. It just in general. If you are in trouble financially, you are more than welcome to have a chat to me. I'm probably going to need to know why you need the silver or why you're losing the silver. We have a lot of financially savvy players. We don't just feed players because we just end up with a guild full of I'm only here for the free shit sort of people, the hustlers. So yeah, don't trust anyone in the game, just based on their word. Don't trust anyone in the guild because we just don't know yet. If you find I am never going to ask you for your transport mammoth, so if someone randomly PMs you with a name that's nearly identical to mine, it is not me. I'm never going to ask you for Gucci shit or anything like that. It just and keep us on top of any donations you give, and just keep transparency open, and I'll try to track it as much as possible. Which comes into one of the things. Now, normally what I like to do once a month, not every week, is have a huge prize that I think might be one of the skins this time, but something that you can sell that could possibly lead to maybe like a month's premium or something like that. However, until we've got like the prizes that do that, I'll wait on that. So we're not going to do a competition this week for the month because to have like a growing phase. And then start thinking about that next month. The competitions have been in the past. Normally it's a particular playstyle focus, whether it's content, PvP, whether it's just so one time we had a donation-based one, whether it's something in the stats like your weekly fame or the top dungeon runner or the top PvPer or the top something like that. And we just pick one at random and we just give them like a really nice prize that this is a thank you for guild activity more than anything. So I suppose the current focus in that regard at this time is recruiting, so that we can get a decent competition for that going. I'll see what I can come up with. Okay.
Also, just to make it clear, if you are doing content with us in the red zones and you die, do not hesitate to ask the guild for refunds because
Guild
we
replacement.
will
Gear
replace. Yeah, you have.
replacement. Yeah, so any
Beautiful.
anti-ganking is
Well,
the only content right now that I basically ensure your gear. However, I am thinking about expanding into covering gatherers and possibly the black zone teams as well. So yeah, that's something we're growing into. At the moment, if you die anti-ganking, so that's definitely important to you, Conqueror, let us know and we'll replace the gear.
Oh, one thing I was thinking, since we're in the recruiting process really right now,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, oh, I'm sorry, my baby cousin's
No, you're right.
okay, she good. All right, for the newer players that might get recruited, what I'll do is like if I find somebody who seems to be dedicated or whatever to the cause,
Mm-hmm.
I'll refer them to you
Yep.
instead of invite them myself. I'll refer them to you
Mm-hmm.
and tell them to like send you a private message or whatever, or whoever
Absolutely.
you trust in the guild. I don't know what the rankings are or whatever.
Yeah,
But another thing I want to do is I want to create an arena team or maybe a few of them even
that'd be
and get
sick.
some arena teams going so that the newer players could get more familiarized with the combat mechanics
Absolutely.
so that they're not so nervous going into the lethal zones, when we got to do what we have to do.
That's sick. I absolutely
So
love
keep
that.
an eye out for people who want to do some arena stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely keep an eye out for that.
We were actually planning that if we have around 10 or more people, we could do custom arenas with the guild members for their PvP training.
Fight each other. Yeah,
Yeah,
And
exactly.
just fun, just fun as well. So yeah,
yeah. So okay, we'll end on this point. So we have changed the requirements to get into the guild, and one of them was no toxic. And so what I mean by this is that, and it's enforced on me as well. We are going to start moving away from engaging anything that involves politics, religion, or discussions of those kind. Um, Please keep it about the game. You're more than happy to banter about other things like that. That's totally fine. But I have found that it gets really kind of testy if, say, two people who don't agree and one of them happens to be the healer in a critical point in time. And so,
Oh Lord, I remember playing healer on my
yeah,
old character, man. Healer is a thankless job. It
yeah.
really is.
So normally the moment the DPS says, "Where is my fucking heals?" and they don't like each other, it's like the group's broken, it's gone, it's all over the place. So yeah, keep it good, chill, keep it non-toxic, and yeah, we'll see. I feel good coming back.
Oh, also,
Also, there's a
also
patch
like
coming in.
there's just a little thing that whenever you are going for group dungeons and stuff, it's common sense to understand that do not stand in the damage if you are a melee fighter. Damage and listen to your shot callers, please.
Yes. Well, that's what the dungeons will eventually teach you, because you definitely have a GM who is a former healer, and so I will not be standing for that shit. But it normally the
Happy I'm a ranger,
as a
DPS.
yeah as a DPS, your job is to make the healer's job as easy as possible, because he needs to focus on the tank 90% of the time. He can't be throwing heals out on the rest of you. Anyway, I think that's the meeting. If you have any comments, what I'll get you to do is actually put them below the YouTube video. That way it's about the meeting itself, because I've tried to have it like put in here or have them DM me and I don't see it or I forget about it and I don't address it directly. But if it's underneath the video, before I do the next meeting and get the stuff together, I'll look at that video and see where I'm at. And then I'll do my meeting minutes like you've seen in announcements. And then I'll start updating and shifting. If you have, if you don't have access to YouTube or the comments or anything like that, you're more than welcome to DM me and I'll just copy paste it as my own comment in there. Okay, very cool. I'm stopping the recording.